Hey everybody, it's Dr. Elizabeth Yurth from Boulder Longevity Institute here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. And today I want to talk about a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, and that's exercise. I'm an avid exerciser, and it's really what honestly keeps me sane, keeps me moving forward. I've got pretty bad arthritis in my knees, and honestly, exercise is one of the things that really keeps me so I can keep moving. So I want to talk today about some things you might not know about exercise, because I think we hear over and over again that we have to exercise, that exercise is so important to us, and I'm not sure very many of us have a very clear understanding why. So when you think about exercise, think about muscle, because honestly, muscle is the currency of life. If you don't have enough muscle as you get through life, just like if you didn't put enough of your money away for retirement, if you didn't get enough muscle as you age, then you're going to have all sorts of problems. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because I think when we think about exercise, we think about, oh, well, it's good for our hearts and our hearts get stronger. Or we think about it being good because we lose fat and we get thinner. Or we think about how important it is for sort of our brain health. But I think that we need to understand a whole different piece about muscle. So first of all, there's studies that show that exercise is linked to longevity. And we've really not had a really clear understanding exactly why. So is it because your blood pressure is lower, or is it because you get thinner? Well, we now, over the past few years, are establishing a whole nother reason why it's so critical. And that's what are called myokines. So muscle has never really been thought of as an organ per se, or what we call an endocrine organ. So we think about endocrine organs like our ovaries or our testicles, that they're producing these hormones, and those hormones go off and they tell other organs to do things. But we haven't really thought about muscle as an endocrine organ. But actually it is. In fact, it's a very, very impactful endocrine organ. And that's because it produces these small peptides, proteins, that are called myokines. And myokines have significant health benefits. Just like hormones, they act as signaling molecules. And they have effects not just on the muscle themselves, but on all these organs around. So these myokines that are released when we exercise. So when we stimulate muscle, and we break down the muscle as we're exercising, particularly doing muscle building exercise, but endurance exercise as well, the muscle releases these proteins, and there's a lot of them. In fact, we know of now of over 100 separate myokines that have been isolated, and actually over the past year we've even isolated more. And those myokines are released, and they go and they signal bone and fat and liver and pancreas and heart and immune and even your brain to do certain things. So what happens is you exercise, and the muscle releases all these different myokines, and they go to different places. They actually go to your immune system, and some of the myokines that are released by muscles actually stimulate immune function. This is going to be really important when I talk about osteoarthritis in the future, because we now know that even osteoarthritis, wear and tear to our joints, is linked to what we call inflammation, or an abnormal immune response. So one of the problems is, right, we start getting arthritis and we stop exercising, so our muscles get smaller, and now we're not releasing myokines that go back to the immune system to tell the body to heal. But the muscle also produces something called GLP-1, which stimulates insulin from the pancreas. It also stimulates our gut. Muscle releases what we call hepatoglucose factor, and that actually stimulates the liver production. It's really important for bone. So something called osteocalcin is released from muscle, and that actually stimulates bone production. So as we lose muscle, we also lose bone, right? So you can see how every single piece of the body is related to these myokines released from the muscle. Even the brain and skin. So we get what's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and the brain is upregulated by muscle. So when you stop exercising, or you look at old people and they start sitting around more and they get sarcopenic, meaning they get loss of muscle, every other organ, it's not just that you don't look as strong or that you can't walk as well. It's that every other organ is being affected. The other problem is that as we start losing muscle, we actually start gaining fat. And fat also produces these kines, but these are called adipokines, and they're pro-inflammatory, meaning we now have the muscle no longer producing myokines because it's gotten smaller, and we have more fat cells producing adipokines. And the adipokines have the opposite effect. They go to all these different organs and they signal bad messages. So these adipokines are linked to type 2 diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis. So on one hand, we're not producing muscle to block these things, and we're producing more to stimulate these diseases. When we get bigger muscles, these myokines actually block the fat cells from producing these pro-inflammatory adipokines. So it's not just that we lose fat, because maybe you see these people who are strong and still have more fat. They're still healthier than the sarcopenic person. So because the muscle, the massive amount of muscle they have, is limiting the pro-inflammatory cytokines that are being produced by the fat cells. So I hope that you've gotten a little more clear understanding that exercise is really not so simplistic as, okay, we're losing fat or we're just getting better cardiovascular health. It's that when these muscles are stimulated, we are introducing these cytokines or myokines into the body that are affecting every single organ. So once you start sitting still and not moving because you're sick or because you hurt yourself or because you feel like, oh, my arthritis is horrible and if I try and walk it gets worse, you're actually creating a vicious cycle of getting worse and worse. I'll give a talk in a little while on arthritis and why arthritis is immune-mediated disease. So let's say you get a little bit of arthritis in your knee, and now you stop walking. So now your muscles aren't stimulating healing. They're actually getting the opposite response. The pro-inflammatory adipokines are inducing more osteoarthritis, and you have no protective effect from the myokines. So you can see that exercise becomes critically important if you're going to cure diseases like osteoarthritis, also brain diseases, dementias, cardiovascular diseases. So I hope you have a clear understanding. I think this is really a cool topic. I think the fact that exercise, we're finding, has so much more value than we once thought, and that we're recognizing more and more of these myokines. We're going to find this in the next couple of years. We're going to find isolating more and more of these. And maybe we'll be able to find ways to introduce them exogenously. So maybe we'll be able to treat some of these people who can't exercise with myokines that we can exogenously give them so we can actually start building them up and inducing exercise. Shoot me any questions you have about that topic. I'd love to talk more about it. Thank you, guys.